Hello and welcome to FTTR, I am Ewan McQuaid and today I am bringing you some retro content. This time I am talking my thoughts on SummerSlam 1992. Now why am I talking about this right now? Well, I mean, we're in the heat of the Euros, right? You know, England are doing quite well and I was like, I've never seen SummerSlam 92 and it's the one in Wembley. How has that ever happened? So I went back, I rewatched SummerSlam, well not rewatched, I watched for the first time, that makes sense. Rewatched for the first time SummerSlam 1992 and I'm just going to give you my general thoughts on the show, kind of like I would do for a modern pay-per-view. Some of my thoughts on the matches and my overall takeaway from the show as a whole. Now the first thing you notice when you switch on SummerSlam 92 is just what a crowd is. This is one of the hottest crowds I think I've ever seen. They erupt for everything, literally everything. Spots, entrances, baby faces, heels. It's just incredible to see how popular wrestling was back in the early 90s. In the sort of, I think it's new generation, it's sort of borderline new generation era and the golden era of WWE. And some of the just pops are insane. They are huge, and there's one in particular that I'll get to. Now, I've always heard the show is just heralded as one of the greatest wrestling shows of all time, but I don't know if people are saying that just about the main event of the show. Well, yes, the main event, because some of the other stuff on this show is weird. It's very, very new generation, kooky characters, odd. Like, for instance, let's just go with the Undertaker match, for example. Undertaker versus Kamala. That was... it's cool. Like, I really love the aesthetic of this. I just love the bright colours, the vibrant characters. I love that. But the in-ring work's really weird. Undertaker's as good as he's ever been. You know, he brings out an old school, which, you know, one of the greatest moves of all time. But it ends by DQ. It doesn't really go anywhere. Undertaker looks cool coming out of it. You know, he scares Kamala by doing the sit-up at the end of the match. But yeah, a lot of very weird stuff on this show. And another match that was heading towards being one of my favourite matches on the show as a whole, which was Shawn Michaels versus Martel. That had a screwy finish as well. That had a double count out. It's like, oh, come on WWE. Just give us some really athletic contests, because I know these people can do it. We see it in your main event. And this is kind of a problematic match with the representation of Sensational Sherry. Yeah, that was weird, but that was going towards one of my favourite matches of the night until the double count out happened, because there were loads of reversals, you know, it was very technical, it was very modern day, that kind of match, and I really enjoyed that. But I'd say probably one of the strongest aspects of this card as a whole for SummerSlam 92 were the tag matches. The Legion of Doom got a nuclear reaction when they came out as these baby faces to take on Money Incorporated, you know, Ted DiBiase and Erwin R. Shyster. Shyster? I think that's how it's pronounced. Yeah. That match went about 15 minutes, and the Legion of Doom, the build to the hot tags and stuff is just like incredible. It's the pops, I can't stress this enough, the pops of the show are incredible. They are just nuclear reactions. But I thought they worked really well. The Legion of Doom are so cool, coming on with the bikes with Paul Ellering into the ring. They are just badass. And when they win, and, you know, wins with a power slam, it's just great. Didn't get a Doomsday device though. Didn't get that, sadly. But I really enjoyed that match, and I also really enjoyed the Natural Disasters versus the Beverly Brothers. Because I've never actually seen, I don't think I've ever seen a Natural Disasters match. But they work really well. They kind of remind me a bit of Heavy Machinery, and I really loved Heavy Machinery. But they're just really cool. The way that match is just built around, I believe it's Typhoon, just getting worked over and worked over and worked over until Earthquake gets the hot tag. That match I had no issue with. I thought that was great. I thought that was terrific. There were few bits of heel shenanigans which sort of, again, lined this card, particularly the main story going into it, which I'll get to. But I really enjoyed that match. I thought that match was terrific. It was well built, it was well timed, and the Natural Disasters looked badass. I want to watch more of the Natural Disasters, and that's not usually my kind of wrestler, sort of the big man, but they were really cool. They were really cool. So shall we talk about what was billed as the main event, but for some reason didn't actually go to the main event, which was a 25-minute match between the Ultimate Warrior and Randy Savage. Now, neither of these two are the best technical wrestlers in the world, let's say that. They are more showmen, they are stronger. But this match went really long. This match felt really, really long, and you know, the story leading into SummerSlam is whose side is Mr. Perfect going to, whose corner is he going to be in? Is he going to be in Macho Man's, or is he going to be in the Ultimate Warrior's corner? It was a long build for him to actually come out Mr. Perfect. He comes out with Ric Flair, and then he starts, you know, taking different sides. He'd do one thing to the Ultimate Warrior, one thing to Randy Savage, and that eventually just led to a count out. The Ultimate Warrior won by count out, which in a big main event WWE title program, or WWF at the time, it's a bit weird. Okay, it's going to build to a show down the line, which I may watch. I'm intrigued to watch. I think it's Survivor Series next, I don't think they had individual shows. I'm intrigued to watch that Survivor Series. I may put it on later. But yeah, it was a weird finish, very weird, and it was also being billed as the main event, which really confused me, because of course you've got the actual main event. They kept calling it the main event, but it wasn't the main event, so it was a bit weird. But shall we talk about it? Shall we talk about the best match on the card? Hands down. There's the British Bulldog versus Bret Hart for the WWF Intercontinental Championship. This match is as good as people say it is. It's just technical wrestling at its best, with a really good story going in that Bret Hart's sister is married to the British Bulldog, so of course it's tearing families apart who's going to win this match, and it just goes, it builds really nicely, just builds on top of each other until eventually you get this finishing sequence, kick out, and then technical wizardry wins out, and British Bulldog pins Bret Hart with kind of a roll, more of a reverse of a sunset flip, and pins him and wins in front of Wembley, and it erupts. It absolutely just bang. I don't know what that was. It explodes, and it was awesome. It was such a cool victory, and it was such a good match, and I really, really liked the end of the show. However, whether or not SummerSlam 92 holds up as a show, personally for me, I don't think it's as good as I'd heard it was. If I were to rate this show, because to be honest, obviously, screwy finishes and whatnot, they are just annoying at the end of the day, and this one had 3 screw finishes in pretty big matches. You got a screw finish with the Undertaker, you got a screw finish with the Ultimate Warrior and Randy Savage, and you got a screw finish with Shawn Michaels. So that really kind of took me out of the show, to be honest. And then the matches that peppered in between, like Nails versus Virgil and Crush versus Repo Man, that actually got definitive finishes, I'm not that into, because it's Crush versus Repo Man, obviously. But I think it's borderline a one match show, SummerSlam, because that match is so good that I'd give it a solid 3 out of 5. I did enjoy watching SummerSlam, but just some of the stuff just took me out of it completely. So I want to know your thoughts on SummerSlam 1992. Let me know down in the comments, what's your favourite era of professional wrestling? Let me know down in the comments, and I'll try and reply to every single one of you. Thank you all ever so much for your support, and have a nice day.